It is official. Vice presidential candidates J.D. Vance and Tim Walz will debate in October. This news comes as more of Vance's past controversial comments are being uncovered. One of the latest. Vance said in a 2021 speech that companies come out in favor of abortion rights because they prefer, quote, cheap labor and don't want their employees to have children. My nightcap is still here. Willie, you thought the weirdest thing you would see was Olympic breakdancing. It wasn't. It's more and more past interviews of J.D. Vance. Do you wonder, was J.D. Vance actually vetted by the Trump campaign, or was it Don Jr. saying, hey, Dad, pick my guy and maybe I can be his VP one day?
Oh, it was for sure Don Jr. saying, this is my guy, trust me, he helps us with our base. And that's the problem. It was a base pick. It was, let's remember when he was chosen what this race looked like. The Trump campaign was confident at that point that they were rolling to victory. They were looking at states that they thought they could win, like Virginia and Minnesota. They were talking about winning New Jersey. It was going to be a runaway. How high could we run up the score in the Electoral College? So let's deepen our base's support. So J.D. Vance is a base pick. He brings out the white men that support Donald Trump and have, although decreasingly so in recent polls since Kamala Harris got in the race. And then everything changed, and it looked like, oh, wait, we need some of the states that a different choice would have helped us win. So is there some buyer's remorse? Probably. We've heard some reports this week that Donald Trump, as he's wont to do, is blaming a whole bunch of other people, anybody but himself, as his poll numbers have slipped against Kamala Harris, with J.D. Vance perhaps being in his crosshairs. He came out publicly and said, no, he's my guy, he's great, he helps us out. But without question, there is some remorse given all, and now what looks like a bottomless well of comments that have offended just about anybody, including suburban women and childless cat ladies, an important demographic that you're going to need to win this election.
If they wanted to win Virginia, then perhaps they could have gotten Glenn Youngkin to go on the campaign trail with them. But you don't hear from Glenn Youngkin. In fact, it seems like J.D. Vance is all alone out there right now. James, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's hard to believe that they vetted him, but I have news for President Trump and his entire campaign. When it comes to J.D. Vance, more is on the way. They're just starting to drill down now. And do you think all of the stupid, misogynistic things that he said in the past, you think that we know them all yet? Not hardly. There are people that are unearthing videos, unearthing written things like crazy, and you're just going to have to stand there, dude, and take it, because they're going to beat you over the head with this. And, you know, I don't know if they vetted him. They supposedly hacked 270-page 6 document. I have no idea, from the Trump campaign. I don't know what was in there, but this was a Don Jr. Tucker operation that has blown up in everybody's face.
Basil, what is your take? Because we're just a few weeks into J.D. Vance, and I've yet to see him have even a good interview. Last weekend, I heard Laura Ingraham say, J.D. Vance did so well in national media, they'll be clamoring. No one will want to interview him again because he fared so well. I didn't see a single interview where he fared so well. What have you seen, Basil?
I haven't seen that either. And frankly, you know, when you get up at a podium, stand in front of a microphone, and announce to women that they will not have sovereignty over their own body, and that the men that are going to run this country, should Donald Trump be elected, are going to be the ones that make decisions about your reproductive health, among other things, like making sure that there are no longer no-fault divorces. So you have to go back to your husband to get permission to divorce him. When you stand in front of a podium or microphone, and when your surrogates are out there extolling the benefits of Project 2025 should Trump be elected, there's in a way there's just sort of no winning from that situation, because they will get hammered, they will get pushback at every single turn. And while James is on with us, I have to say that, you know, Bill Clinton was my first presidential vote, 1992, and I remember that being the year of the woman, and that's important to me because we had, you know, African-American, Latino voters, women voters come out so significantly, because that was, for a young college student like me, that was a really critical election, because I felt connected to it. I felt a part of it. And I just don't see that if you're a voter out there, that when you look at the Trump-Vance ticket, that you feel outside of his core base, that you feel that this is something, if you haven't made a decision to join, that you would. Campaigns are additive. You're supposed to be bringing people into the fold, not excluding them. And that seems to be what he does every time he opens his mouth.
Paul, I'm going to ask you about this. Tim Walz, he addressed this week the criticism of his military record. And when he did so, he went out of his way to thank J.D. Vance for his military service. What do you make of this whole thing, Vance going after Tim Walz? And I'm not going to weigh in. What do you think?
I think just to start on Vance, he's not very good at this. Right. And I think that's what we're all finding out. I mean, he's making DeSantis look good. And you've got Trump, who's not as good at this as he used to be. And Kamala Harris seems to be better at this than many people expected, maybe. And Walz is doing pretty well out of the gate, too. So you've got this interesting clash now that is still always, in my view, going to be about a fight in the middle. And obviously turnout is going to be a key now with Kamala Harris. But these people, these couple million people in key swing states who are independent like me, who are unaffiliated, a lot of them are veterans. A lot of them are young people, and they're evaluating these candidates and looking to see who they trust and who they feel good with and who sets a good pace and a good tone. And I think this fight between Vance and Walz is something all veterans have been kind of fearing for a long time, because now it's the full weaponization of our services. And it's now up to them to determine how veterans will fight in politics. And Vance fired the first shot. It's a dirty shot. It's the swift boat shot that Republicans always do. And you should have seen it coming. If you didn't, then doom on you. And Tim Walz, who's been honorable, I've known for a long time, I've written a piece about him, had a choice to make. He can go down and hit hard below the belt too, or he could go high. So he defended himself, and then he went high and he tried to reset the tone. Now we'll see if that works. I hope it works, because it's better for America, it's better for veterans, but we'll see over time if it works. And in the last couple of days, it seems like it is. And I think that's also cuts to the core of what veterans are looking for, but what America is looking for. We want people who can set a command climate and a tone that our country can be proud of. Because when you think about Trump, I just want to say, like, aren't you all sick of this? Aren't you ashamed? I mean, enough already for our country looking like this in the global stage. And Vance is just doubling down on all that.
Willie, how much of a secret weapon is Tim Walz in terms of combating the narrative that Democrats have become super woke and that this is all about culture wars? I mean, this is a guy from Minnesota, a veteran, a teacher, a coach who's got, a little bit of dad and a little bit of Chris Farley energy in the best Chris Farley way possible.
That's a high compliment, as you point out. Chris Farley
sure
energy,
is.
a high compliment. Yeah, I mean, I think to some people it was confounding at first, and everyone said, wait, what about Josh Shapiro? You have to win Pennsylvania. How could it not be this popular governor of this make-or-break state? And then as this week and a half or 2 weeks almost now has gone along, I think some people have understood why the Harris campaign picked him. Given his performance on stage, given his credentials, as you say, I mean, down to, the camouflage hat that he pulls off credibly. It gives them an angle, and it gives them a wedge back against the Trump campaign, which believed it had sort of owned that. But to hear the criticism of Tim Walz's service right now, on a day when Donald Trump was talking about how the Congressional Medal of Honor maybe isn't as great as the Presidential Medal of Freedom, because when those heroic members of our armed services and veterans come in, he says they're, quote, in bad shape. But when you give the Presidential Medal of Freedom, like he talked about Sheldon Adelson's wife, well, she's beautiful and she looks great, and maybe that's even a little bit better. So I think Democrats can credibly say, you want to criticize military service when again and again and again Donald Trump has shown he has no understanding of what it means to sacrifice and do what Paul Rieckhoff has done for the country? Please spare us your criticism.